Good morning, because we're all so early to the metaverse. Thanks for joining us. The Metaverse Nomads, as promised, at least one of the six of us will be there for you every week at 10 a.m. PST to bring you your weekly dose of metaverse news and buzz from our favorite blockchain games and ecosystem. This week we have Bonafide, myself, also known as Invest Geek on Twitter. We have Fancy Hat, and we have Jesse Whitakus. All of us with three of the six Metaverse Nomads and three of the six consoles of Rome. How you doing today, Fancy?
Yeah, doing great. Merry Christmas, everyone.
And how you doing there, Jesse? You're
You're
muted, my
muted there,
brother.
buddy.
Let me unmute you. Oh,
Voila, there we go.
There you
I'm
go.
good,
How you doing,
man.
Jesse?
I'm a little slow, though. I just got back home, man. Got my flight in today, and it sounds like I caught one of the last flights out because they've shut around 6,500 flights down around the globe right now. So
Oh, wow.
I'm glad to be back home. It's been a month.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, a lot of us are obviously moving around and doing a lot of things for the holidays, and so that's why you see the Metaverse Nomads at half right now. Next week, I think we might actually have a full show. We'll see how that goes. So to get started, we had a lot of news with Star Atlas this week. They dropped a bit of pre-alpha gameplay showing off that Unreal Engine 5. And let's go ahead and roll a video right quick and let everybody see it. Now, I'll admit it. When I first saw the video, we were all sitting around waiting because Star Atlas had popped that they were going to give us a Merry Shipmas, and we were all wondering what this video was going to be. I'm not going to lie. When I first saw the video, I didn't get it. I was like, well, what was the Merry Shipmas part, And Fancy here helped me to understand that we were actually watching in-game footage, the first in-game footage that we've seen, maybe. So to me, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking like, okay, this is probably the best game I've ever seen. And it makes me a little nervous, except that we're already earning on it. What do you guys think?
So when I saw that, I had a similar reaction to it in that I like the idea that it gives you some perspective as to what in-game experience will be. However, with that said, we are a long way away from walking around that hangar, flying inside that ship. Is it going to be the same development window as it took Star Citizen? No, that's the Star Citizen is paying the price of being a pioneer. With Unreal Engine 5, the technology is there to do it a whole lot faster. And with the way that Star Atlas as a team is scaling up, they are dwarfing the on-ramp of what Star Citizen did. So basically, when I see that, I get excited about it, but also I still want to keep things in perspective to know that it really is a long way off. And I think that it does serve for people that need that visual to be able to say, what is this game going to be about? Because the truth is, as you mentioned, we are now earning in essence, for staking our ships. But what also happened is there was a lot of FUD in the Twitter feeds from people that don't really get the project.
Right.
And so that I think also helps people gain some perspective as to what is coming, what they're building. but do understand too, it's a long way off before we're actually going to be immersed in that experience.
Yeah, I actually love this video, the way the ship like sways side to side as it's coming in for the landing, the grass in the background, and
I just noticed the grass just now when we watched it. Like, I
yeah,
just picked up on that. Yeah,
it's awesome. And just generally the way like the texture of the ship changes as it's coming in. If this is how we are like looking at it as we play the game in future, we're in for a treat, I believe. Even though it is very short right now, next year's the year.
So here's an interesting question, because I did notice that too with the way the grass was moving. So it's clear that we have different types of engine technology that they're trying to emulate within Star Atlas. You're going to have some jet propulsion. You see a lot of the ships, like the freight ship, and the ERP, which those look like they're pieced together, jet propulsion. But then you have others like the Chi. So when the Chi lands, is that going to move the grass at all? Because again, it's using a different type of propulsion. So I'm curious to see how that kind of plays into the mix.
that's an interesting point right there.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see like what a capital ship flying by does. Does it knock over trees? That would be quite cool.
I don't think a capital. I'm curious, but I don't think a capital ship actually lands. I think that stays out in orbit. I don't think it has landing gear.
In the Miranda's blog recently, I believe they described the Grenadier as like a low orbit bomber.
Okay.
Yeah, that was packed full of loads of little goodies.
Yeah, I mean, Star Atlas has made me a believer with the score drop. So that now that we have score and we're all actually earning on the assets, I'm confident enough to where I'm actually going and beating the bushes and telling my friends and family, like, what do you mean you don't have a ship yet? Let's, you have a chance to ROI on a game before it's actually released, and then you're still going to have these assets in the game later. Maybe jump on it. Not financial advice, obviously.
I'm thrilled with what we've seen so far, but also I got an eye where I'm a little suspect on, all right, how long will this play out? And here's the good news. The good news is that rather than approach this from the model of a game, which I know that tons of people like, that's why people are all over Gala games, because they're like, games first, got to be fun. Yeah. But you know what? For a long-standing play-to-earn economy, it's got to be economic system first. And that is what Star Atlas has done. And they've approached it from that angle, and they've thought it through from a lot of different sides. Now, is it going to be flawless, and will there be issues that pop up? Probably, because this is a grand experiment. But I like the fact that they started from the foundation up. And what's impressed me thus far is not only has Atlas held, it's actually fluctuated and pumped up a little bit. So that suggests that there is some things that are helping to keep it stable, because here we have going on 70, probably close to $80 million now in staked ship assets, and people are getting paid daily, and yet the price of Atlas is not tanking. Polis, on the other hand, because the focus isn't on Polis, it's in a really great spot right now. I think it's a bargain, but I think that's also going to shift within the next 6 weeks as we see the DAO shape up, and now there'll be another way to earn. And while we don't know the exact numbers, and maybe you guys know more than I've been able to read and what I've been able to absorb, but it sounds like in regards to Polis and the DAO at least, and I think this comes straight from Wagner, is that somewhere in the neighborhood of $40,000 to $50,000 daily, based on the current staking model and what the resources are people need to keep their ships in mission. That's going into the DAO. We don't know how much of that is going to be distributed or how that will work, and then also what Polis rewards will equate to. But it is exciting to see. We see the first part, the Atlas coming in, and then pretty soon the DAO is soon to follow.
Yeah, I like that about the project as well. I think I said it last week that I feel like the release of Score is actually kind of a beta test of the economy, and the fact that we're all testing out the economy now before the gameplay is even live makes me feel a lot safer with the project, especially, like I said, because based off of the ROI right now, you're going to ROI in under, somewhere between 200 and 300 days. So well under a year, you already get your ROI, and that's a beautiful thing for any kind of investment. You know,
It
let
is.
alone one of the first grand metaverse projects out there. And so, yeah, Star Atlas has my vote. I'm one of our console members yesterday, I think he said, I'm not going anywhere. I hope they're not. And I feel the exact same way.
Well, on that note, one of the things that I did immediately following the launch is I started thinking to myself, okay, so we've launched, and what is the level of commitment beyond the surface level of stuff that we've seen from Star Atlas? And being in the business world, I've spent a lot of time and have a lot of connections on LinkedIn. And so I started doing a little bit of snooping just to see how Star Atlas is growing. And they truly are growing in leaps and bounds. And the caliber of people that they are bringing on is pretty phenomenal, including, I'm not going to call them out here because I want them to be on the show here, but they're bringing on some quality people that are coming from interesting places. When I say interesting places, I'm not talking about just game design. They're coming from actual real world Northrop Grumman and Air Force satellite level grade mission planning. That's the kind of people that they're bringing on board to help build out Star Atlas in the metaverse. It's really impressive. So they really are walking the talk and doing things behind the scene to bring on some high caliber people to help build this out.
Yeah, I mean, knowing these kind of things about Star Atlas is the things that get me really excited about it. You know, hearing these kind of things is just bodes well for their future. They're definitely, you know, you align yourselves. You know, the people that you bring on in a company are important because that's the direction you're going to go with. That shows what your intentions are. And so when you bring on economists, you bring on actual people who are experienced in certain fields in order to advise you or just to be a part of your project, that lets me know that you're really taking this seriously. I wanted to give a shout out to Sound Bites from the comments. What do you guys think about reinvesting Atlas into buying ships versus buying Polis? So we've been talking about this back channel over the past week. I was originally dumping Atlas into Polis basically from my earnings. And then we recently did a giveaway. Maybe Fancy will want to talk about that in a moment, but we just did a giveaway and we all of us console members bought the little $20 ships and gave them to somebody. And I think we have another person we got to give a bunch of ships to once we get his address. So when I did that, I basically took part of my earnings, and I bought the ship out of that. I didn't, invest any more money into Star Atlas. I just rolled over some stuff. And that made me start to think because, you know what, let me go ahead and share my screen here.
Yeah, while you're doing that, I'll answer this question on my opinion. I have like an inner conflict on buying like the small fighters versus the like racers, because I think they are going to be like some of the things that are going to be like utilized first. So I just see it as like one of the best ways if you want to like play the game, grabbing the ships that'll be used first.
So if we look here, and it just changed, but this is this is the club's website, right, that we're using?
Yeah, and you can see here how much the opals have gone up this week, and this is a great website, by the way. The opals
shout out to the club.
They've been bought in the thousands. There was so many left last time I looked, but then they were past the origination price like the next day.
So when I bought the Opal Jet to give to one of our members, it was at 146% APR. And looking at that, I was, this is going back to your question. I'm looking at that and I'm saying, well, I can just take these profits, roll them into Opal Jets, and continually up my daily income, as opposed to just throwing it into Polis. But Polis is great for the future of governance of Star Atlas. So that's another consideration as well, is okay, how much do you want to put into the future governance of the entire game, and how much do you want to put into personal income? Those are two different decisions. But I think that if you're talking about personal finance, probably going into the ship at this point in the game might be the better option. And then if you're thinking about the future of your guild or your organization, probably going into Polis might be the better option. What do you think, Jess?
I did something fun just for the exercise, just because, again, I'm looking at the metaverse from the 50,000 foot view on down, not just this project, even though this is, I would say, my favorite project in the mix because I like what's being created overall. But I did some interesting things with it. One, I took some Atlas and I converted it and I sent it to crypto.com and I spent something on a credit card. Why did I do that? Because I wanted to experience the whole process from going from the metaverse to fiat. Actually, it really bypassed fiat in some way because it goes USDC to make it available to spend. So in other words, it is an actual earn game. The earn part only matters if you can actually do something with what you earn.
Right.
So I did that part. I also took some and I converted to Polis. I've got quite a bit of Polis actually, and I'm excited to see what is going to become of the DAO as it launches here. And I guess February 3rd is the target date. But then also I'm buying some ships. And again, that's a beautiful idea for people that are looking to really stick around this ecosystem because it allows you to compound. Right before this launch, I ended up grabbing something like another 66 or so of the jets because they were, as we saw on that Alpha Industry screen, it was really undervalued. And so based on the VWAP, which is the average price that we're being compensated on for what those ships sold, it was a great deal. And it's already proven because I actually put those in a separate account just to be able to see what those would be earning on their own. So the whole way around, I have to say, and I think most people agree that it has beat our expectations thus far. We were using kind of an 8% marker, but at this time across the board, it's actually doing better than that. I'd say it's probably closer to 10.5.
Gotta love a company that under promises and over delivers. That's always a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So next up, we had this NFT airdrop, Cosmic Sounds. Did you want to go into that, Fancy?
Yeah, so this was a airdrop that was given to everyone who holds a Rebirth / Legends poster and a Firmamental collection piece. And yeah, it's just a good faith airdrop. And I was quite pleased when I had this in my inventory. I know some people who didn't have a poster or a Firmamental thing were regretting it. But in reality, this is like $100 right now. I'm not sure if that's like a good valuation, but it's not too unattainable if you want to try and collect all the badges.
I'd say for $100, it's absolutely worth it considering the low supply. It's got a rarity of epic. We don't know how items like this will stack, but just because right now, I mean, based on where we all see Star Atlas growing, these are all Genesis items. So we know that even if it's the nostalgia alone down the road, people will be pretty stoked to be able to have these. So I think that for $100, if you didn't earn one, you didn't get one as a part of the drop, I'd say it's definitely worth it. Again, not financial advice, but if I would go about it getting one if I didn't have one.
Yeah, the crew morale, social cohesion, increase in overall good fortune. But what's not to love, really?
And not to take us off topic, but all of you out there in the metaverse, because this is the holiday season, it's a good idea to go and, check your wallets, go on OpenSea, check your hidden tab, because a lot of your projects, if you're out there and you're moving around the way we are, investing in all these different things, a lot of projects are doing airdrops right now. And we'll cover one of the bigger airdrops where people actually got some money here in a bit, but yeah, check your bags, check your wallets. You might have something there just because you've been in these projects so early. Once again, good morning.
Yeah, and Michael Phoenix asks if it's better to invest in rare ships rather than common ships. And what do you guys think about this? It's quite hard to say at this stage, but
well, I'll tell you.
For example, the Calico Evac, it's a uncommon, but I think it's a really cool ship. And what is it? There's a couple inconsistencies that I wouldn't have picked myself, but I guess there is some sort of explanation. Sorry, Grant.
I think you have like 3 different aspects you got to look at. So you can use that website we were talking about, the club uses, and you can kind of get the best ROI for your dollar investment, right? That's one way to look at things. Another way to look at things is, okay, the future game, what kind of ships is my guild, my crew, my guys, what are we going to need, right? And
Yeah.
how am I going to be the most valuable? And so maybe you might take a hit on ROI in order to get a certain type of ship to round out your fleet a little bit better. And then the last thing that, well, I look at, it's not necessarily a business thing or a guildmate thing, but I also look at the maintenance, the upkeep, that time. So those smaller ships, the reason I haven't jumped into the smaller ships, you got to be on those things every day. So that's basically, in my mind, means I have to check this thing twice a day. My
Yeah.
smallest ship right now is Opal Jet in my fleet, and it drives me crazy. It's a 2-day maintenance, but basically every day when I look at it, it's like halfway. I got to refuel, I got to feed everybody, I got to repair, and that is probably about as much as I can take. I don't think I can really carry a fleet of a bunch of smaller ships, because if I come home one day and I check it and I'm not earning, I'm gonna be pissed, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's the way I look at it.
I quite like the idea of stacking the Opal Jets. I found this picture in like the Discord general chat
Mhm.
for Star Atlas, and this person has 2,000 of them. So like, I imagine it's quite fun to just
2181 daily rewards. Look at
Yeah,
me
so
go.
they're right around $200 a day,
Hell
approximately.
yeah.
So,
yeah.
That's awesome.
Like if you got this ship at a discount, like even if you didn't, it's got one of the best returns, even though it's a
Yes.
smaller ship. So people will
Yes.
just snatch you
Money
up
wise,
these
it's
up.
a deal.
Yeah.
Money wise, it's a deal for sure. But just look at that. Like, so you're getting 2181 daily. I bet if you were actually watching this live, you would see that Atlas, the pending rewards part, you would see that just ticking up, right?
Yep.
And then you just imagine that you miss a couple hours because you didn't check on it, that day or whatever. You had a busy day. And then so you lose all those returns because you got to check it on time, at
Well,
least probably
if you
twice a
have
day for a ship like that.
if you have this many and you are missing rewards, that's going to cost you a lot. But
Right.
just refueling when you have like 50%, if you know you're going to be out for the whole day, that might be like an option for most people, because that's just
Yeah.
like a 0.00005 Solana gas charge.
And it doesn't take long. That's the beautiful thing about it. If you go into manage fleet right there, you hit that, you do the resupply all, and then you go and you hit the repair. And if you do that, it takes whatever, like 4 or 5 seconds and you're done. So it's
Yeah.
not that big a deal. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
So next up, we have the season fleet possible perks. So a lot of us.
Before we get to
go
that,
ahead,
I
Jason.
did have a thought on that.
Mhm.
Like, so here's my thought on ships, and it's I echo a lot of what you guys just said about the idea that the smaller ships are going to take more to maintain. But here's another consideration about those smaller ships. I sense and also believe that it was mentioned somewhere that there is the potential that the racing ships will have utility potentially even before some of the other ships. Like that may be a module or thing that comes out. So keep in mind the utility of the ships that you're buying. Now, of course, if you go out and buy ships that are larger ships, they're easier to maintain. Like it's a lot easier for me to maintain my Calico Guardians than it is to maintain the smaller jets for sure.
Right.
So when I go in there daily, even if it's the R8 or any of the other ones, it's kind of like, all right, well, I'm already in here, so let me top off these other ones. And by the way, that is cool that you can do the all at once there. So I think that the person needs to think about what their play style is going to be. I think that you also want to give some consideration to the ships and their appeal across the board. For example, the Amway, or a ship that is designed specifically for bounty hunting, it's going to appeal to people that specifically want to do that. One of the things I like about like the Hero Guardian or the Visas Opod, or even the larger ship that is the Calico Guardian, is that those are multi-role ships. Those are ships that have a lot of utility. And so because of that, I think they will hold their value in a way that's maybe a little bit different from some of the other ships. So that's just how I approach it. And what I will continue to buy is ships based on the utility of my particular play style, as well as what I think will hold value for general appeal.
Shout out to Joshua Bartell in the chat. In the short term, it seems like the smaller ships are a better return, but long term, you're missing out on the modules and the crew, and that the higher level ships provide. That's a good point. That goes back to what I was saying as far as, you know, at the end of the day, you got to do what's right for you financially. You got to do what's right for you time wise, but you also have to do what's right for your guild or your organization. So,
but they are higher maintenance for sure.
Yeah, you got to do that.
You mentioned crew there, and one thing we haven't really seen yet is how we're going to get these crew. I know it was it originally mentioned that we would get the crew with the ships?
Mm-hmm.
I thought
so.
We've got the ships and the ammunition and everything, but I'm assuming that's been pushed back a bit. So it's going to be interesting to see how we get these, and if you have, like, say for example, thousands of X4s, would you get thousands of really uncommon races? Or if you had like a Calico Guardian, would you get like a commander to lead it, and like different tiers? It's interesting for sure. And
that's a good point.
Kind of leads on to the next point of how they introduce where is it, seasoned fleets this week, and basically you get it after a week of staking, and it's a little badge in the corner. Not much information's been revealed about it, but
really?
So those of us who staked immediately, you know, I staked like within the first 24 hours. I was late. A lot of people staked before me from our guild, etc. But I got that badge I think yesterday. And so the question is, like Fancy, like I was actually kind of thinking about like bringing all my ships out when I get a new ship and adding them all back in at the same time, just to be weird. I don't know. And now I'm thinking, okay, these things got to stay in here because you're getting credit for how long your fleet's been out there. So in somehow, some way.
Well, you know, when you commit new because there is that button where you can like commit new ships to a fleet. Right. Does that reset everything? By the way, I didn't even know about this. I obviously I've been traveling a lot as well, but this is a pretty cool concept. And it's incentives like this to keep people in the game, I think is a great idea.
Yeah, they're doing it right. Star Atlas, you guys are doing it right. Shout out to the Star Atlas team. Yeah.
Okay.
So let's look at this Fimbul Lowbie, man.
Yeah, this appeared on the Athia website and YouTube.
I've been waiting to get to this one.
Yeah, it looks great, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of the Opal Jet. The Opal Jet seemed cool, and then this comes out, and hopefully, we don't know. All we have is this, right? But hopefully, this is competing with the Opal Jet as far as like size and capacity and speed and all that, and it possibly will race against it. And if that's the case, I'll be super happy.
This almost looks like a Fifth Element taxi.
Yeah, exactly like that.
I kind of get a Rolls Royce vibe from the front.
Yeah.
Well, one of my favorite movie series is Back to the Future, and it's not, you know, exactly like the DeLorean at all, but it gives me those vibes because of the way the tires turn in, you know.
Yeah.
So.
What cracks me up about these models is that some of them, and I love the designs because they kind of like have a nostalgic throwback, but when you see all of these wires hanging off it at different lengths, it's kind of almost like, you know, you expect something to get unplugged and, you know, oh man, we've got to get back on there and start this thing up again.
It's definitely like mad scientist DeLorean Falcon vibes from Back to the Future, man. Like, like some nutty scientist put this together just to get across the galaxy right quick.
Yeah, it's a two-door, not even four-door. It's a two-door.
You took an old car and made it into a spaceship.
Yeah, yeah, I'll definitely grab one of these.
Oh yeah, you got to.
What's this priced at? You know, do we have any idea?
We only found this. Well, other people found it, and we're kind of.
We just got the picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's got to be in the jet range, then, right? Wouldn't you figure?
Hopefully,
something like that?
It has to be. Like, I hope it's not smaller than a jet. I hope it competes with the jet. That's what I. It's
got to be right around there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So looks like it's a two-seater.
rear view mirrors, even, man. It's just not even, they don't even have a console with a camera in the back. It's just got straight up rear view mirrors or side mirrors.
I just want to start screaming McFly as I drive.
That's great. And I also wonder, when I see these ships, I wonder, are some of these designs specifically for within the atmosphere versus outside of the atmosphere?
Well,
because there's probably going to be some ships that don't come within the atmosphere, and then there's probably going to be some that don't go outside. This one, the Chi can obviously go anywhere. This thing is just a beast, and this design here should win like a design award. I love how it's the same shape in the front as it is you flip it to the side, and it's the same thing.
It's a beautiful ship.
And obviously the Visa Sopod as well. That can go on land, and this is the other ship I could see. This apparently can dock on land with those 2 giant feet.
Yeah.
So I was reading the small print on that $20 ship that I bought for the guy in our guild the other day, and it actually says it can warp planet to planet, and that's the smallest ship out there. You know what I mean? So I think they're adding that in. I think they're giving that functionality to everything. I think that everything can pretty much go, warp and go to another planet or whatever.
But how are you going to do that on an X4? You would think, what is some force field going to wrap around you and your bike?
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. I would almost see that as just being a land kind of vehicle that's not trying to go anywhere. Because even if we think of Star Wars and we think of like those races, those vehicles were not going out into space. Those were just terrestrial vehicles that were within the atmosphere.
You're right. And the Opal Jet looks the same way. That's the one I was reading the small print on. It looks like a little motorcycle, but it can apparently go planet to planet. So it's what it is. And then shout out to Monty. That ship reminds me of Flight of the Navigator. Yes, it does. I wanted to get the 2 for Feist. I wanted to get a couple 2 for Feist, and I ended up getting the Rainbow Chi instead because Flight of the Navigator, favorite movie growing up as a kid. One of my many favorite movies. So yeah, I had to get it. So faction locked numbers.
Yeah, so we had a look at this earlier, and people were telling us they had updated the numbers on Twitter. I was getting mine from Discord, but I also I saw a comment from an account called W Wagner.
I saw that.
I wasn't sure if it was him, so I didn't pull it up, but this is it. So it's like 82,000, I believe they said was the correction, which these fleets are getting massive now. It's going to be awesome.
That post in our comments, and again, we don't know if that is the CEO Michael Wagner, but he's saying 100 million stake now, which I guess would make sense for sure within that range from the ships that were sitting on the secondary market that are now locked in, as well as the 2 ship sales, the drops that have occurred since. So I would think that would add enough to reach 100 mil.
Yeah, I mean, now that people are actually earning, like, I think they're going to see a big uptake in the amount of assets getting purchased and getting staked, because it's starting to make it real. Once you make the finances real, shout out to all these NFT gaming companies out there. Once you make the economics real, that's when you're going to explode. And this is what I keep saying about all these games is, I mean, eventually you're going to get to a place where the games are competing for who's the most fun, as well as which game is the best earner. But right now, with the metaverse so new, it's all about where people are going to be able to earn the best. People are going to put their money where they're earning, and Star Atlas is actually in a way starting to lead the pack here. We'll see how it goes.
So an interesting thing to note here is that on the day that that score was released, Star Atlas as a token was at about 12.4. And then it dropped. It got to a low of about 9.2 cents. And then now it's back up to about 11.4. So what's interesting there, and I think everyone was kind of paying attention to this, is what is it going to do? What's the valuation of Atlas going to be? And the fact that it's sitting within a stable window, I think overall is pretty impressive. And it's, hat tip to the team for being able to figure out a good reward system and a good ship drop system that kind of helps things to balance out.
in the beginning, when I first evaluated their tokenomics, you had the Polis token, which is their staking governance token. So that's the one that's obviously going to probably have the best value over time. And then you have the Atlas token, which people are going to get paid in. So that's going to be the token that has the most sell pressure, right? And so you're looking at this and you're thinking, why didn't they name the Polis token Atlas and the Atlas token Polis, right? That's what I was originally thinking. Now fast forward to our current time where I was worried about the price of Atlas tanking, and I like the fact that they named the sell pressure token Atlas, because new people coming to the ecosystem are going to want to buy the token, and that's going to give you buy pressure on the token that everybody's needing to sell who's actually involved in the ecosystem and actually staking Polis and actually having these ships. So that's an interesting dynamic that they did. I didn't see the genius right away, and I'm starting to think it was a smart move now.
Yeah, I think I might be wrong here, but I remember someone saying polis meant in like Latin to govern or something like that.
City.
Yeah, city, state, it might be actually. I'm not sure.
Yep.
But yeah. So last week the Discord was at 134 Discord members, and it's at 141 now, slowly rising up there. And with the amount of people who are locked in, it'd be interesting to see how many of them are like actively engaged, buying more ships. Or
and so we can see the number of accounts based on what Star Atlas is showing from their end. But what would also be interesting for us to begin tracking is the number of wallets that have Polis or Atlas in it, just to get an idea of, like, from a growth perspective, even outside, because one of the things that happens here, even outside of the game, and the people that have ships and are buying assets, is that as people see the value in overall metaverse tokens and projects, they're going to want to support those. And so there are already people that are buying into both tokens just because of the project itself, whether or not they hold the NFTs. So to be curious just to see what the overall growth is in wallets that hold those tokens.
Absolutely. So apparently Polis staking is going to go live on February 3rd, 2022. The Star Atlas team is taking a break this week for the holidays. So
returning January 3rd. Sorry.
Right. It's all good, brother. So
they say taking a break, but we know they're just sitting back there like mad scientists, like, look at them play the game.
I mean, you look at a guy like Wagner, you watch him in his interviews and stuff, and it's like, this guy doesn't take breaks. What are you talking about? Don't lie to me. You know you're working.
But at least it's a nice window where they're not called upon. They're not constantly having to answer things. They can kind of sit back and still probably, like you said, working, but in a different capacity. They can look at it from a different angle and kind of zoom out rather than having to be fully immersed in engaging people.
I mean, giving yourself an official break is the time to take the pressure off, so you don't have the community, on your heels like we've been on their heels since, I don't know how long now, right? It's good to just be able to say, hey, you know what, there's no level that I have to produce at this week. I could just do what I want to do. So that's a good thing. It's good to take a break. And shout out to all of you guys over the holiday season that are getting a chance to take a break. I know me personally, I'm exhausted. I mean, December, it's like everybody wanted to do a drop or something in December, and it's just too much to keep up with. And so I'm happy to see teams taking a break. I wish more of them would. We have anything else on Star Atlas, Jesse or Fancy, before we move on?
That was it this week. Yeah.
All right. So let's move on to good old Gala Games. Gala Games in the news again this week. Unfortunately, once again, another fiasco. So they had the Miranda's Box reveal. Let me pronounce that properly. And apparently somebody kind of, in a way, hacked them, right? So this was a Twitter thread. If you guys go out there and go find this Twitter thread, you're going to be entertained. Their legal guy, Jesse Hines, legal counsel, should not be the PR guy. And I think that's been said many times. You got to hire a PR team, Gala Games, because a lot of these things that they do wrong, it's not so much that it's way worse than any other program. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, these drops go bad for all these games. Everything is new. Everybody's breaking the meta right now, and nobody's ever done any of this stuff before. The thing is that you can't have people who aren't good at PR dealing with the public because it makes you look really bad.
I personally think it's more than that. And I've personally had run-ins with Jesse Hines, and he absolutely should not be engaging anyone. And even beyond what you're showing there, he even stated that he was initiating a lawsuit with ETH. it's like
Yeah.
you know, so much of what they do can be prevented. They're just like a bull in a china shop, just rolling
Yes.
through. And granted, there's some power in figuring it out as you go, but they make a lot of mistakes that could be avoided.
Mhm.
And they make them again and again and again. And man, and this is just my personal view on it, but my spidey senses there's just an element of corruption over there that I just can't get over. Do I still have a node? Yes. Do I still have their NFTs? Yes. Have I still bought into stuff, and will I continue? Yes. Because when I look at the market as a whole, part of what I'm looking for is how much the market is lapping up what a project is putting out. And Gala has me convinced at this point that there are going to be some folks, some fanboys, some people are going to ride that until the wheels fall off. But underlying it, I'm telling you, and this goes all the way back to the very first dealings, and even when I called them out on price padding, you know, there's just an element, there's just something corrupt there underneath the surface to me. This is just my opinion. I know there's always comments, people like, dude, what are you talking about? But you know what?
Yeah.
That's just how I feel about it.
I like your analogy of till the wheels fall off, because that is exactly the ride I feel like I'm on with Gala. I mean, let's be real. I don't know anybody personally who's invested in Gala who didn't make money.
True.
They are
Made
the
lots.
best. They are the best NFT selling company out there right now. If they sell an NFT, you're going to make money if you're there in the beginning.
Best smoke and mirrors in the business.
Best smoke and mirrors in the business. The question is when are the wheels going to fall off? And
Yeah.
it's a scary thing, because you see them, you know, you see them doing great, but at the same time, they have a lot of pressure. They're setting themselves up for a lot, like a huge domino fall. Is what they're setting themselves up for if they're not careful.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I'll go a step further and share like the reason that I have some of this opinion. So, got a Gala node. Gala node's making me money. But what does my Gala node actually do? My Gala node doesn't do anything. I installed this Gala node in probably April of this year, and I've set it and forget it, and I haven't done anything. Granted, I will say that they have said that there is going to be a change coming to them, and we need to update them before the first of the year. But up to this point, it has not done anything, and it's making me money. So in many ways, that is just kind of a money game. So then we go from there to Mirandus. A lot of people believe that at this point we already have a playable alpha. There's been 3 server tests. One of those, the first 2, were kind of pushed forward by the Guild Rome, our guild.
Yeah.
And in that time, they didn't really show us anything outstanding.
We promoted the hell out of Gala in the beginning.
Yeah, all the way up until the last one, I wasn't really truly impressed with the progress and what they've done. Yes, we have some great buildings here, but the thing that's going to make a play-to-earn game is going to be the underlying economy. And I don't think they really understand what that looks like because they haven't engaged economists. So
we're going...
Mhm,
I'm sorry
go
to
ahead.
interrupt you, but just going to the economy point right quick. So this is a core difference between Star Atlas and Mirandus, right? Is that Mirandus was also supposed to have a mini game out right now where you would be able to basically be testing the economics, just like we're doing already with Score with Star Atlas. However, Mirandus has not come out with that. And that falls, I believe, to the point that they haven't taken the economics seriously yet. And that's a good point you're making, Jesse. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And so with Mirandus, the idea was, and again, everything they do is shooting from the position of trying to hit some marketing objectives. So what can we do? Well, we're going to have Materium. Well, what is Materium? It's like this in-game mana that's supposedly going to be tokenized. Well, that's interesting because the original thing they were saying was that magic was going to be far and wide and very rare. So now we have this thing that we can collect, but you can collect more of it if you buy more of our exemplar avatars. So then you go out there, and then for me, being that I've got like 100 of them, I was thinking, man, how long is it going to take me to collect all these? I've never even seen Materium, but yet all of my exemplars have the check mark because I guess there was some big error that they just said, if you had trouble logging in, I don't remember having trouble logging in. I just know when I logged in, all my stuff was already checked. So it's this weird thing where it's like, I didn't really even have to do anything. So then that's Mirandus. And we know that Mirandus is going to be maybe the end of next year, there'll be something playable. So then we move on to the only playable game they have, which is Townstar. Townstar, a lot of people were making some money when Town Token was up around, I think it peaked at around $2 and then dropped back down. And then I was like, maybe they're onto something, what they got going on here. So as you guys know, I kind of started looking at that, was asking you guys a lot of questions until I found out that the max supply is like a quadrillion tokens. And whenever I see quadrillion tokens, that means when you get your town, you better spend it and run because that thing is going to continue to tank. Just with that kind of supply, it's only going to continue to plummet. And it has. I think it's hovering somewhere in the 50-cent range or somewhere around there now. So there's that. And then we have the other games that they're building out. So it almost feels like it's this rob Peter to pay Paul, and then they keep pushing things down the road, and then they're selling tons. The amount of NFTs in their marketplace from all of the new games, from everything else they're involved in, it's sell. And the only thing that's making any money right now is Townstar, and even that's on its way down. Gala token is holding, not even sure why, but it is. And so there's just all of these elements here that they're in a race to create an infrastructure that holds up. Otherwise, I don't see what the future will be. And I know there's lots of people want to argue with me there, but they're building games that are pay to play before we actually see an actual play to earn. And thanks, Crow, on that. It's at 75 cents. So it dropped down and it has come back up, which is good to hear. But a quadrillion value is a lot. I mean, quadrillion in total supply is a lot.
As usual, I agree with everything you just said, Jesse. The thing about the token price is what Punjab is saying here, I think, right? Mm-hmm. So this is what, once I started digging into Townstar, I actually started playing it. Now I'm playing to earn on Townstar. And Townstar is not a bad game. It's I've always been a fan of Sims, and it's basically a Farmville type of simulator. It's actually pretty cool. I'm enjoying it. Now that the play to earn mechanics are locked in, it's given me the reason to actually start spending time on it, because I have, being a long time old school Gala guy, I have a bunch of stuff that I could use.
Did you ever see the McCarthy video where he showed how it's all built out on a spreadsheet? That was actually really impressive. It's a spreadsheet. It's a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet that drives the mechanics behind Townstar. It blew my mind that that's how they do it.
Slide me that in Discord, my guy. I need that. Yeah, let me watch that again, because I missed that video for sure. I wasn't interested in Townstar in the beginning, up until the point now. Like I said, now that you have actual play to earn the mechanics where you can actually earn money every day playing the game, that's what brought me in. And that's what brings me into all these games. And so I am having fun at Townstar now. Gala power is the reason that the tokens aren't tanking, because you have to have, and like I'm looking at some of these YouTubers out there, they have like 30, 40 Gala power, and that means they're sitting on a whole bunch of tokens. That means they're not really cashing out. They're just playing and earning and re-rolling back into the ecosystem. And so that's what's keeping them afloat. Is it going to keep them afloat forever? Knowing that, because you just mentioned a quadrillion town coin. I mean, it all, Gala is stressful because they're playing with fire. They're right there, they're on the edge, and it's been great for me, but I don't feel like I can fully trust them because they don't tell us anything. And so that's the key right there.
But you said a spot on, because I continue to do things to invest in their ecosystem, but I'm hesitant to recommend it.
I mean, you're kind of stupid not to at this point. Like, if the horse keeps winning and you just refuse to bet on him, that's not smart either. Right. Even though you know that the horse might have, a rotten hoof. It's like he keeps winning. What are you going to do? So shout out to my guy, Ultra, one of the 6 consoles in Metaverse Nomads. LOL, they remove emojis they don't like now.
Yes.
So this is something that came up pretty big. It was in the Twitter war. Like I said,
Yes.
go on Twitter and you're going to enjoy yourself.
They removed the poop emoji, the eggplant emoji, and the clown emoji. Well,
and the clown emoji.
They just told you that you can't use them anymore. They didn't like that form of expression because
they didn't actually remove them. I thought they actually removed them.
Oh, maybe
That's
they did. I just knew that they were saying that we know who
they
you
were
are.
removed.
Of course, you know who they are because you can see who actually engaged with an emoji.
So this is the thing, right? Is that that's another thing that makes you nervous is the level of censorship, right? So I'm a node owner. Okay, I make a lot of money with Gala, and I'm a free-spirited person who speaks my mind. That's not ever going to stop. I come on this podcast and I trash Gala all the time because sometimes they do trash things, right? So do I have to worry that my nodes are going to get turned off one day or something like that? I mean, you can't just keep lashing out at your community when they do something you don't like. I mean, you have to. You look at. There's other communities out there. Star Atlas. Gary V, Tom Billy, there's guys out there who have communities that go rogue or go toxic at certain points. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the way they deal with their communities, they don't just trash their communities. They don't just block people or ban people. They take care of people.
Did you see what Billy did recently?
And they turn it around. Yes, I'm
just part of buyback. He just did
I'm part of the impact theory. Yeah. So let's go
if you're not happy here at all, we'll buy your NFT back from you.
That is how you deal with a toxic community. So just to give some more background, I think me and Jesse both are investors in the Tom Bilyeu impact theory. This isn't even in the show notes, so we're going rogue here. So you could pay, I think it was, you could buy the legendary key, which was the top tier of impact theory. You could buy it for 3 ETH. Okay. It was a Dutch auction. So eventually that price went down to 1.5 ETH. Right. Myself being myself, I bought mine at 1.5 ETH.
Same.
And then there was a lot of, let's call it butthurt in the Discord, in the community, because of that, because a lot of people didn't understand what a Dutch auction was. So a lot of people aped in. One of my friends, one of my coworkers, he actually aped in right there in the beginning. He bought the 3 ETH legendary key. He bought a heroic key for the 1.5, I think it was. And then, or whatever the full price of a heroic was. He spent all the money. Within 24 hours, Tom went on ahead and cut a heroic key for everybody who was an early adopter. Everybody in that first 24 hours got an extra heroic key. So at that time, I think basically my friend made about 16 grand in 24 hours because he was early. Okay. So later on, he's like complaining because the price has gone down, because after the Dutch auction, the price went down. And I said, bro, why didn't you just sell? And he's like, well, I would never sell. I'm part of the community, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, then stop crying. Right? Either sell or stop crying. And this is what we're dealing with out here. So, but like you said, Jesse, Tom Bilyeu dealt with it the right way. What he did was he went on ahead and he said, hey, if you're unhappy as being a part of this project, I'll buy back your NFT right now at the full price. And he gave that out to everybody. So, all of us who bought, who aren't happy right now, could have easily just went on ahead, did the buyback, and got out. And that's something that I don't see Gala ever doing. This is the thing. He wanted to create a positive community. He wanted to get the toxic people out, and the best way to do it was to buy them out.
I have 2 months of unanswered support tickets from Gala, so I definitely know they're not trying to buy back anything. I can't even get a hold of them.
Shout out to my guy Ray. Hey guys, couldn't make the live, but keep killing it. My guy, we're gonna do you proud out here, brother, and you be safe on your travels.
Indeed.
So anyway, we covered the Twitter trolls and the Miranda's Vox fiasco. Positive news on Gala, or as positive as it gets anyway. I aped into something this week. So
did you manage to get some? I wasn't able to get any.
I did. Those. So these are the Genesis Curry flows. These are Metaverse shoes. So there have been Metaverse shoes in the past. These aren't the first Metaverse shoes. What's interesting about these shoes is that they are the first shoes to come out that commemorated like a special event in the real world. So Steph Curry just broke the all-time 3-point shot record. he broke it wearing these shoes that were made by Under Armour. And then they launched immediately the NFT. This is obviously something that Gala Games, Decentraland, Sandbox, and a couple other organizations have been working on for quite a while, because they immediately launched this when he broke the record. So you had 5 tiers. The highest tier over here, the unanimous, there's like 30 of them total. The lowest tier over here, the lab, you had 1.4 total. Okay, so altogether, the total amount of shoes is under 3,000. 2974 was the record that he broke. So they came out with 2974 NFTs to represent that.
So
go ahead.
Quick question for you. So when you got these, don't you get them across the 3 different, not platforms, they're all on ERC20 platform, but across the different metaverses, the different like Gala and Sandbox? So you get multiple NFTs, or is it the same NFT?
So that's a good question. So originally, what you bought, if you got into the sale, you bought for $300 a locker, and that locker unlocked one of these shoes, kind of like as a, normally when you get an NFT and then you do the reveal afterwards. So it was a locker, you revealed it, you got one of these 5 versions of the shoe. Now, these 5 versions of the shoe, each one of them will come with accessibility to 3 different ecosystems. Decentraland, Sandbox, and Gala Games. You're going to have play to earn mechanics in Townstar with these shoes. Now, that's a good question. Are they going to airdrop us a NFT for each ecosystem, or is this one NFT going to be usable in each ecosystem? I tend to think that the tech's not really there to have one NFT that floats through all the ecosystems equally. So I think what's going to happen is we're all going to get airdropped another NFT for each one. If that happens, then you're going to see resales going, because somebody's not going to want to go in Sandbox with their shoe. They're going to want to sell it. Or they're not going to want to go into Decentraland with their shoe, or they're not going to sell it, or they're not going to want to play Townstar, so they're going to sell it.
Or they buy a shoe thinking they can go in Sandbox, but it's a Gala Games Townstar shoe.
That's going to be interesting. I hope they don't mess that up. I hope they don't mess that up. So anyway, the floor was pretty crazy to watch. So they originally sold at 300. The floor shot up to 7,300 USD within an hour, and then it crashed back down as more pressure came on, more people trying for the flip. These shoes here, the lab and the warps, I bought my warp at about under 3,000, and now the lowest price is 1 ETH. The labs were down at like 1,500, and now the current price is there you go, 39. So
which is fascinating when you think about it. And we've had this conversation before when we bought, when we were talking about the jackets for the Star Atlas NFTs that launched a while back. And we're talking about how you have these virtual goods. I've never paid $4,000 for a pair of shoes before, but we see people eagerly spending this on virtual goods, and this just really demonstrates. Look at this, $89,000 for a virtual pair of shoes. It demonstrates the transition that we're seeing into the metaverse, where people are placing more value on digital goods than they are actual physical goods. And it's really fascinating to see this take place.
So I've always had a interesting collection of friends, because I have a nerdy side and a more street side. So I have like friends that are sneakerheads, and I've never been a sneakerhead. I've never spent more than a couple $100 on a pair of shoes in my life.
Same.
And I went over here and I bought these shoes. I was trying to buy them at 2,500, and I ended up catching them at 28. So I spent almost $3,000 on a pair of shoes. This is my first time spending this much money on a pair of shoes, and it's because of the metaverse. It's because of the fact that this is history in the making, right? These shoes aren't going away. I'm not going to wear these shoes. I'm not going to get them scuffed up, but I will be rocking them into Decentraland in the near future. As soon as I'm able to, you will see me in Decentraland, only because I got shoes now. So we'll see how it goes. But
If you wear them in the deep space with Star Atlas, do they get burned?
Better not. I'll be so mad. No.
Star Atlas wouldn't be able to do that with the contract. But yeah, that's kind of.
But no, it's a cool thing, and we'll see how it goes. I bought them because I believe that certain NFTs are going to be collector's items here in the future. I think that 5 years from now, 10 years from now, the very first Steph Curry's from the 3-point shot, the first shoes that went into 3 different metaverses at the same time, et cetera, et cetera. And then don't get me started on the idea that, Townstar might actually, do this right and you ROI on these shoes in the near future based off of how much you can earn on them, then you're really sitting on something special. So I went ahead and aped in. I'm doxed out here. You guys know, so you guys can all laugh at me in 5 years when the shoes are worth nothing. But we'll see how it goes.
I seriously doubt they'll be worth nothing in 5 years. So I mean, we're also seeing this is just the beginning. This is the gateway for other celebrities and and personalities to be able to make their way into the metaverse. I mean, look how Snoop Dogg is adopting the metaverse. I don't know if you saw on Joe Rogan, I forget the guest he had on there, but they were talking about how someone spent $450,000.
Oh, we got that. We're going to use that. We're going to play that on the outro.
Yeah, are we? Awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna play that video when we head out, because that's a funny video. But go ahead. Sorry.
Just the idea that someone's like, "Hey, man, I want to be next to Snoop Dogg in the metaverse," and they're going to spend $500,000, on a plot of land just to be in proximity of someone that's famous. And we're going to see so much more of this. It's just we're at the bleeding edge now, and much of it is due to the fact that the adoption still has barriers for just even establishing a wallet. I've got tech savvy and wealthy friends that are slow to come to this space. They've made lots of their money in the digital marketing space over the years, but they're still slow to come to to crypto. And many of them have, but then their barrier is just they're coming into crypto, the baseline top cap stuff, and then they're not aware of altcoins. And then there's those that aren't even aware of NFTs and the metaverse and gaming.
Let me tell you, Jesse, I have friends that have been in Bitcoin as long as I have. We're talking, they got 4 or 5 years in the game as far as being crypto people.
It's that old
crypto. When I tell them, hey, the Steph Currys are out, I know you're a sneakerhead, you might want to jump on this. And these friends of mine that have been in the space as long as me are saying, oh, okay, I'm about to download the MetaMask wallet right now. I'm like, what? You're gonna download MetaMask now? Like, what are you like? What do you mean? How do you not have a MetaMask wallet? Like, what are you talking about? Yeah. So. Yeah, you're right. I mean, we're so early still.
Yeah.
I like this comment from Costy19. Will Miranda's exemplars run faster when wearing a Curry shoe? That's pretty funny, man.
Well, speaking of that, I have a question. So sometime back, we were all told there was going to be, like, I've seen it, Ring of Discord. Now, is that something that all Discord members are going to get? We're supposed to get? We'll get someday, because I've seen them on OpenSea. So we don't know what these things will do for your exemplar thereafter, or like the one that just came. So with this past drop, I opened my box. There's the thing. It's like, do I sell my box for the 4 ETH, 3 ETH I can get for it, or do I open it up? Hope there's a dragon in it, So that's the challenge you always have. So I open it up, and I got a human goldsmith. I'm like, human goldsmith. I have a goldsmith human exemplar, so I understand if you pair them up, there's some extra bonus there. Do we have any idea, like, has there been any mention, because I haven't been paying attention lately, as to what kind of bonuses and bumps will actually happen? What is that promise utility? And we know that's a dangerous question to ask over there in the Gala community.
Well, as you will know, Gala is not forthcoming with any information. And so we do not know what that utility is going to be. We do not know what the value is going to be. We do know that you're going to be able to earn, like, I'm probably going to pick up a couple of Vox that match certain of my exemplars here in the future. But we don't know what you're going to be able to earn in Townstar. You're supposed to be able to earn with them, but we don't know what that's going to be. They say it's not going to be as good as the Townstar boxes.
Right.
So we as usual, we have no idea, and there's no way to plan. There's no way to. It's basically just a hype train over there. There's never any detailed information that would allow you to invest you basically got to just either throw your money at them or not throw your money at them as usual.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that Ring of Discord around on OpenSea as well. Quite pricey, but yeah.
What was the snapshot for, Mega Raid Boss, or one of you?
Just being in Discord, right?
Yeah, they haven't given it out, so
I haven't got my ring yet.
But we've seen it on OpenSea, so that means that server nodes probably had them dropped. And by the way, I ask this pretty much on every show: is like, is there anyone that's had a server node going all the way back to March, April this year that's never received anything? I really think there's something messed up with my node due to some issues that happened way back. But yeah, I've never gotten anything. So.
I think, like you said, yours is a special case, and I think you are getting screwed because I've gotten a bunch of crap skins, so I've gotten drops. I haven't gotten anything good. I think Mega Raid and my guy Rob Mega, they've both gotten some really sweet things as far as I remember.
Good on them, absolutely.
Yeah, I haven't got anything nice. So yeah, that's Gala Games. You guys got anything else to add?
No, just
horrendous NFTs have been dropping a bit in price recently. I've got a picture of this homestead.
That's right.
It was like 8 ETH, like a while ago.
It was $32,000 last time we brought this up here.
Yeah. So we got a pump because Zuckerberg and Facebook rebranded to Meta. And that caused a huge uptick in the price of all Metaverse land, all Metaverse coins, all Metaverse anything.
Well, they had Galaverse too.
And they had Galaverse as well. Mm-hmm. And so now you're seeing the market resettle. And so how low will it go? That remains to be seen. But
and you can see that on the bottom graph there, how right around the first week or so of December was kind of where it peaked before it started dropping back down. And I think the other realization here at this point that is reflected in this is that at no time did they really do a press release or even say, hey, community, we're not going to give you that end of year play to earn beta that we've been talking about all this time. So in many people's mind, that was the expectation that they had, was that, hey, we're going to get something playable at this point, even if it's just alpha. But now as people are realizing, well, it's a lot further off, I think people are starting to look to see, hey, there's other projects out there.
There's projects that will pay you today. There's projects that will pay you today, or you can wait on Miranda's to hopefully come out someday. The shopping channel, I don't trust Gala. I have invested in Miranda's, but I don't trust them. That's the way that all of us consoles of Rome basically
common
feel.
Sentiment. Yes.
I don't think I can speak for the six of us when I say that we all agree with you. We're all heavily invested in all the games we talk about, just so you guys all know. And even if we don't like them, even if we're trashing them, we're authentic about how we feel. But we're in all these things with you guys. And so Miranda's, we've made money, but it's hard to trust somebody when they don't tell you what their plans are.
Yeah.
And they don't tell you what their future is. And then when they say things and they don't happen, obviously you're going to feel a little bit distrustful. So they said we're going to have a playable mini game here by the end of the year. We're at the end of the year, and they've basically ignored the fact that they said that. And that's an interesting thing that you should pay attention to.
So the playtest to it was fun, but especially with Star Atlas releasing over the last few weeks, I'm sure that had a big effect on that price action for the homestead, and maybe any crypto game as people start to see what's out there.
Oh yeah, I mean, taking it back to you take it back to the. I'll share my screen again so we can look at this. The club's website here, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at this, you look at these ROIs here. Let's look at this tree
even
arrow.
Last week.
The tree arrow right here, right? So the tree arrow you could buy. We have members who have bought this tree arrow, right? It's $100,000, but you're making $400 a day off of that. Okay. And you only have to deal with it every 7 days. These are the kind of investments that people are able to make right now in the metaverse. Are they going to invest in your metaverse where there's no ROI in sight and you're not meeting your deadlines and you're not producing what you say you're going to produce? Or are they going to invest in something like this where the ROI is right in front of them? As soon as they buy, they can immediately start earning?
Here's a great example of that. So now I've got around, if we get one per, I don't know if we're getting one per, if you get more, if you have a elf versus a human, but let's just say it's one per. So I've got 100 materium now. What's that do for me? What is it worth? What will that do in game? What can I do with it? And it's just this big unknown. And it's these carrots that are just being dangled out there to where I would love to know what the utility is. And that's kind of where things kind of went sour for me to begin with, is that I was getting pushback just for asking questions like that. So yeah, I don't know. But that leads me to a question, and this, I don't know if you guys are prepared to answer this, but it's a question I have. Being that we talk about a lot of games, and I think we're kind of done with Gala, but my question is that we had a couple of games on our radar that we kind of now said, we're not going to focus on those so much. One of them was the
Sin City,
yeah, and there was another one, and so my question is what was it that made us, and us, because I've been traveling and I haven't put a lot of thought and effort into it. Why did we look at it originally, and why does it have less of our attention now?
Well, personally, I'll go back to something I said last week.
Mm-hmm.
Is that I had to be a grown-up and tell myself, hey, you know what? You're only responsible for a certain amount of projects. And so I cut myself off at 12. I'm not going to count the Tom Bilyeu Impact Theory, Gary V, NFT. If I happen to be fortunate enough to become a cyber Kong or something like that in the future, I'm not going to count things like that.
Right.
But as far as gaming ecosystems, I can only play so many games. I can only manage so many scholars. So I had to cut myself off at 12. And so that's what I'm going to do. And so if you're in my top 12, then you're going to be in my top 12. And if you're not, you're not. And that's going to cut a lot of pressure off of me as far as trying to keep up with all these things going on. I showed my Discord one day, and one of our guys was like, all the updates and stuff in my Discord had his OCD, tripping out. And I was like, I can't, there's no way I can look at all these updates. I'm just in these Discords so that I have access.
Yep.
And, that's kind of how it is for me. So yeah, I'm the games that I can actually earn on today. I went hard on Axie because I was able to earn on it today. And I'm going hard on Star Atlas now because I can earn today. And then I'm going to stay in Gala because I'm earning, even though I'm not earning on Miranda specifically, the Gala ecosystem has been very good to me. And so I'll take those earnings and I'll roll them into the Steph Curry flows of the world, of the metaverse. But as far as new games, there's a higher bar now because I have games I'm already into. So what is your game going to bring me? When is it going to bring it to me? How much can I trust you? How exciting is it? How fun is the gameplay going to be? I'm still buying coin games. They haven't done anything yet, but I believe in the ecosystem. I believe in the game. I think the game's going to be fun, just hearing it described. So I'm still buying into that. But there's a lot of things that Alex Becker and Elio Trades talk about that I just don't have the bandwidth for. Like there's some kind of alien game they're talking about.
Yeah.
I haven't even looked at it. I don't have the time.
Yeah, they're like Chain Guardians is one that I'm into from an investment standpoint, and it's because I like the concept of what they're doing with the ecosystem. They're kind of like an incubator and kind of a launcher of game concepts, and so things like that. But I'm with you. But I can't do 12 because the way I tend to deep dive, like even how we all met, I was doing videos about Miranda's with Miranda's
deep
life.
in there. Yeah.
And that's kind of how I approach it. And because of that, I can only do a handful of games but when you ask me something about a game, I will be able to tell you exactly what's going on because I'm deep within the numbers and I know it. But what maybe Fancy Hat, was there something in particular that kind of steered us away or just caused us to pause a bit on Sin City?
Well, we didn't know much about it originally, and it was on the Binance chain. That was one factor. Also, like the ARG games, or alternate reality games they were doing. That was one of the reasons we went into it. We thought it would be fun, but they were just either too hard or like they weren't done very well. So you only have like a first shot so many times.
Yeah.
That's the thing. There are so many projects right there. I think last week I showed a screenshot, or actually a live screen of the most anticipated games of 2022, and there's like game awards and games you can vote for. And they're in the hundreds of them.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that some of them are lookalikes. Some of them are trying to leverage their version of Axie and card games. Other ones are trying to come up with some interesting money game of version of NFTs. And there's just all these ways that people are approaching it. And I would say unfortunately, which is common in many industries, is that the bulk of them are trying to take advantage of this window of opportunity
Yes.
without a full team, without a doxed team. And that's a big thing for me now. It's like almost any project, I want people to be doxed. I want to,
You have to be now. That's the bar.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not, you don't, if you were to take, if you look at all the rug pulls out there and you like go back and see, all right, which of these projects had, doxed leadership, you're going to see that there's a recipe there for disaster. So that's a big piece of it. And also, like, what are the projects that appeal to you most? Because if you get in the habit of trying to chase everything, you're just going to be all over the place.
I follow a guy named Max Kaiser, and he's a Bitcoin billionaire, Bitcoin maxi to the max, one of the OG Bitcoin maxis, and he's always looked at altcoins basically as a way to steal your Bitcoin. Because in the beginning, before a lot of these exchanges were, as active as they are now today, you couldn't buy a lot of altcoins without buying Bitcoin first and then trading it for these altcoins. And so he looked at all these altcoins as a way to steal your Bitcoin. And, that's always stayed in my mind. I'm not a Bitcoin maxi. I am a Bitcoin sympathizer for sure. I feel like people should have most of their wealth in Bitcoin, but I'm not a Bitcoin maxi. I believe in a lot of these metaverse projects. But the thing is that you got to remember that a lot of these projects are simple scams.
Yep.
They're going to sell you a game in one hand and take your crypto with the other. And that's what they're trying to do. And that's the whole goal in some of these situations. And so you have to be aware of that when you're walking across the metaverse. I mean, it's the wild, wild west out here. We're early, and there's nothing that's going to save you or protect you. There's no government. There's no legislation. There's no rules or laws really for a lot of this stuff yet. So you got to remember that.
The big caution, and I would say this for everyone right now that's in metaverse gaming and into the metaverse and blockchain gaming, and this is something that I had to come to terms with in 2021 because I actually went looking for blockchain gaming myself. I was saying, hey, based on what I know about blockchain, there's got to be games. There's got to be play to earn. There's got to be this kind of being fused together. And that's actually how I found Gala Games. I actually found Lost Relics first. And then that kind of led me down this path of finding all this stuff earlier this year. So I was still late in some regards, but still very early in others. And the thing that I'm witnessing here that really needs to people to pay attention to, and it's the reason I kind of became a bit of a watchdog with someone I was doing, is that it's really easy to get caught up emotionally and to make very irrational decisions in this space with large sums of money. And here's what I mean by that. We already talked about what we call old crypto money, and that old crypto money is only 4 years old, really. But it's people that bought in ETH at $40. And so for you spending 40 ETH on something where you originally paid $40, it becomes kind of funny money. But the other thing that kind of is important to think about is that in the world of gaming, all it really takes is for a company to be able to tell you a little bit of the story and let you create the rest right here between your ears. And you will create so much of the story to where you will start making irrational buying decisions based on what you want to be created in the story you're creating in your head, rather than really getting in the habit of looking at the tokenomics, at looking at the leadership team, at looking at the project itself, looking at the landscape of the metaverse and saying, hey, is this something that I would recommend to someone else based on real world facts and not the hopium that's filling up in me based on what I want to happen at some point. And so it's been a real kind of a, come to Jesus meeting for me this year, thinking in those terms, like how much of what I'm doing is rational thought based on things that are real world and analyzing what's going on versus what's happening between my ears and what I want to create in the gaming world.
I mean, I think you were probably the first person I heard make that kind of a statement. Back when we were all heavy into Miranda's, you were the one that was like, they're giving us just enough information for us to create our own dream.
Yep.
And me being a business person for, years, I'm not into buying dreams. I'm into selling dreams. I'm into creating dreams for other people, not buying them myself, not investing in them myself. And so when you said that, it triggered me. And I started focusing more on the games that are going to pay me today or pay me in the near future. The space is moving so fast right now that you don't have to throw a bunch of money into something and hope that it's going to happen in 5 years.
Nope.
That's not a place that you're at. You could actually throw money into something and see a return fairly quickly. A lot of us of Rome have been heavily invested in the Star Atlas this entire time. I actually moved in right before Score.
Mm-hmm.
I moved in right before Score, dropped a few thousand on a few ships, and now I'm DCAing in. I'm DCAing into the play to earn mechanics. And
it's also a bit of a deceptive window too, because you can make a lot of mistakes right now and still make a lot of money. Because of the momentum of all of the projects kind of moving forward. So that's another thing that kind of builds up confidence. Like, oh, look, I got this.
I'm smart. I'm a genius. Yeah. Well, you look at let's use the Miranda's NFTs again, right? The deeds, right? So a lot of us bought Miranda's deeds. A lot of us sold Miranda's deeds. I sold my Miranda's deeds for a quick 3 to 4x. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the deeds I sold were selling for about $80,000 a couple of weeks ago. Okay, a month ago, whatever. Yeah. Right when Meta did its brand change, and now you're starting to see the prices come back down. This is a game. This is how the markets move, and you got to be careful. Merry Christmas to all. Shout out to Data, one of our officers in one of our squads, right?
Indeed.
Did I get his title right, Fancy?
Yeah, squad leader.
Squad leader. Thank you.
That's it.
My guy, Data. So, moving on, if we're done with Miranda's, we can go ahead and touch on Axie a little bit. Not a whole lot to say. I don't know if you guys have anything, but the price of Smooth Love Potion is at 3 cents. So it went down to 1 penny.
Yeah. Did it go to one cent?
It touched 1 penny. You can look at the chart there. You see how low that thing went for a second. This is the 24-hour. Never mind. But anyway, it did go down to 1 penny for a second, and that was kind of a flash crash. That was when Sky Mavis jumped on it, and they changed the amount of SOP needed to breed. And that last change was because of that 1 cent flash crash. So now it's at 3 cents. It's been riding around 3 cents here for about a week or two now, right?
Yeah.
So this is probably the new normal until they figure themselves out. Anybody have any comments?
Well, to put that into context, imagine you're someone, and the big story as we talked about here, and we don't have Ray on with us now, but Ray's probably listening to me. I want to say something because Ray he defends this, and this has been a project that has served him well, and he really is behind it, and he really sees a vision. And
he's a core member of the Axie community.
Absolutely.
And that's fair. Yeah.
And I love his position on this. And so we often kind of go back and forth, because my question is always, so again, 40% of the entire gameplay base is in the Philippines, and they are making, let's say they're making 100 SOP a day. They're making $3 a day right now. Mm-hmm. That's what do you do with $3 a day? So my question is, and I'm curious, because with the Ronin decks, which I think is a powerful move by them, they're still very cash rich. Axie, they've got Sky Mavis, they've got a ton of money. So what do you do when you have a ton of money? You have your own exchange. You're kind of laying the foundation to become something big. And here's what's interesting is that I mentioned this last week. There is a relationship between Ubisoft, which is that French game that got smacked around for their kind of weak ass NFT launch of a couple of weeks ago, and then they ended up pulling a video from that. But they were kind of created the incubator for Sky Mavis to launch Axie. So there is a bit of a relationship there, and I'm curious as to what they are going to create. Because and here's my position on this, and I've said this to Ray, and I know he's got his sights set on what Axie's going to do.
You keep going, he's going to call in.
Yes, right? Come at me, bro. But my question is, what are they going to do with this momentum? It doesn't have to stay within Axie. Axie was a great pioneer, and maybe it flatlines. We don't know. Maybe they figure out a way to rebuild it. But even if they don't do that, they still have the opportunity to start scooping up games. They are actually better positioned than, in my opinion, than what Gala is right now. If they wanted to become that development partner, it's like, hey, we got a blockchain for you. We've got a DEX. We've got an infrastructure. They've got everything to be able to start scooping up great games to bring them in to play to earn on blockchain. So I'm hoping they're going to have some big announcements in the new year, and hopefully it's not all tied to Axie, because in my opinion, the Axie system's kind of busted right now.
Yeah, I mean, I said it a couple of months ago that I saw Sky Mavis as an actual competitor to Gala Games. And I still, because they're talking similar talk, but they went a different path. And the path that they went, I think, is a better path. I think it has a more solid foundation. They built a game. They made money off of a solid. I mean, they were the first play to earn game, legitimate, world, metaverse wide, and they did it. And they're suffering growing pains, because nobody's ever done what they've done before. And so obviously,
how much of it do you think was genius, and how much of it's like, look what we just did?
It's funny because you see a bit of both. Like if you actually watch them and you watch their interviews and you watch how they talk, and you if you've been following them, you see a bit of both. You see a bit of genius, and you see a bit of, oh, whoa, okay, this just happened. What do we do now? And you see a bit of both. Like the scholarship program, which is that's the claim to fame. The ability for a person like you or me to employ people in a third world country is huge. Yeah. In the metaverse, right?
That's the case study that we'll point to 10, 15, 20 years from now.
It changed the entire world. It changed the entire world. And so that's the thing that they have. But it wasn't their idea. It wasn't even in their plan. That was brought up by the community. I think
they were probably just looking to accommodate the community. Yeah.
I think like Animoca Brands or something like that came up with the idea. It wasn't them, and so now this is a model that you hear in a lot of play-to-earn games. They're going to use a renting system, or they're going to have a scholarship program or whatever. This has become the model, because this is how you get the entire world to play your game. If it's play to earn and you need investment, you can't expect people from third world countries to be able to invest. So what do? You tell a guy like me that I can change lives in the third world by investing in this game, letting people play it. That's what you do. And that's working. That's a working model. You just have to deliver.
So here's my question, and I don't know enough to know the answer, but I still have the question in my mind. So what helped to build you. Money is still rolling in for Axie. Why do they not figure out some model to at least keep Axie or the SLP around 10 cents, to keep this global developing country model of people being able to play to earn for a living, even if they're only earning $10, $15 a day, which I think is kind of like, you get that window where you can consistently get people to earn 10, 15 bucks a day. You're going to continue to have this incredible worldwide expansion. But not only that, but you're also doing something good for the world. So I'm curious. I would love to, if I was a fly on the wall and that question was posed in the Sky Mavis, boardroom, or just a group of them getting together, like, what would be their answer to that? Like, why are they not scrambling to try and keep that scholarship program? Those people, like, they obviously enjoyed the heck out of that mini YouTube documentary about the Philippines and people being able to buy their groceries and stuff. Why not look for ways to continue to feed and satiate that program? Why not look to expand that rather than whatever they're doing now, which is helping to keep the price of SOP suppressed? Maybe they have that in the can somewhere. I don't know. But that's my big question. It's like, why not look to continue to support that program that helped to make you? You can still be doing the other things on the side and to build those up, parallel. Whether that means you're going to develop a whole project where you're bringing in game developers and build out the Ronin decks, but you could still be figuring out a way to keep that SOP up to incentivize folks in the Philippines and, and all throughout South America and other places to be able to continue to earn, because right now they're not earning enough to sustain.
They don't come from me, Axie community, but I think they're, in my personal opinion, they're gambling.
Yeah.
They have a vision. They have a grand vision. And I mean, when you listen to the developers and the top people in the Axie community, they actually love their Axies and they actually love the game. They think it's a great game. They don't realize that a lot of us who are Axie supporters are there because of the play to earn mechanics. They think that Axies are cool and they're great and the game is amazing. And so what has to happen for the price of SOP to get more buy pressure? What has to happen is you need an Axie burn mechanic, right?
Yeah.
And that's something they can't just drop in. They could do a lot of things to protect the price of SOP right now if they wanted to. But I think what they're gambling on is that they're going to have this great Battles V2 launch that's going to be this amazing game, and it's going to take care of the burn mechanics that they need. And they're going to do all this at the same time. And they're gambling that they're not going to lose too much of their community while we wait for that to happen. And I think that's where they're at right now. I think they're saying, hey, you know what? We got Battles V2 coming. We got this. We got that coming. Wait and see.
That's a huge gamble, because whenever you take a project and you make a big adjustment, like all of a sudden, hey, instead of doing this, we're going to jump over into this lane and now do this. We don't know how that's going to play out. That's like I always go get back to Gala and Miranda's and talking about all of the firsts that they're trying to pump into that. That death mechanic is going to be brand new. The fact that, food and sleep are such a big thing, or that wolves are going to be dependent upon how many rabbits there are. These are all first game mechanics, and you pump too many of those in the mix, you up the variable for failure. So I'm curious, like you said, they must.
I worry about Star Atlas sometimes for that same thing,
Yeah. So they must really have a vision where they're like, okay, we know this is what we want to do. And they're risking a lot. They're gambling a lot on it, rather than saying, hey, we got this thing to work. Until now, let's start adjusting things here to see how the community responds. Do the tokenomics play out? And so instead of doing that and adjusting, they're like saying, no, we're going to come over here and do this now. That's a big risk.
And going back to something you said earlier, I just lost it. Never mind.
It'll come back.
It was important. It'll come back.
I had a question for you. Were saying that with Star Atlas, you had similar concerns. In what regard? What are you thinking about? Like, because they were doing something so new?
I mean, Star Atlas is a lot of firsts, like you said. I mean, there's EVE Online, okay? And EVE Online is amazing, and it has a lot of intrigue, a lot of room for creativity. And it's a phenomenal game because of that, right? Legendary, groundbreaking, historical in a lot of ways, right? College papers have been written off of EVE Online economics and political intrigue. So Star Atlas is kind of in a way copying that and adding to it, right? Yeah. And there's a lot of firsts there. There's a lot of firsts. There's a lot of things that have never been done before that Star Atlas is claiming they're going to do. And that puts them on the Miranda's Axie tier for me. If you weren't actually able to stake your ships and earn right now, I wouldn't be the type to say, "Oh, I'm gonna throw a bunch of money into this thing." Getting your feet wet, putting some meat on the table, getting involved is an important thing in a project that you think it's going to be successful in the future. You got to do that. That's what forces you to watch it. It forces you to stay engaged. And it's, in general, if you're moving the right way, it'll be a smart investment a lot of times, just to put a little meat on the table. But to go in hard, to ape in deep, you gotta show me some kind of return. You got to show me some economic models, and Star Atlas is being smart about that, where a lot of these other companies aren't. That's the only difference. But they're still selling. So far they've under promised and over delivered. But the promise that they're showing 5-10 years out is huge, and you got to respect that. They're swinging for the fences.
The way I try and look at the projects is I try and reverse engineer from the 50,000 foot view. And so I want to ask myself, like, what are all the different things, the boxes that you have to check? You have to check a box that says you need people interested now. You need to grab people's attention immediately now. You also have to be thinking forward enough to have the foresight to say, what does this model look like 5-10 years from now? What is the metaverse? What is this thing that's developing? What is the blockchain's capability transaction-wise going to be? Do we have the infrastructure to be able to support the vision for what we're trying to create? Do we have an economic infrastructure that is going to support an economy that makes it so that people can spend time here and actually make real world money? And I think that Star Atlas is probably the first project where I felt like the leadership wasn't just full on just saying what the people wanted to hear, was also thinking in terms of earning, talked about return on investment, which is a big one because lots of companies are trying to shy away from that.
He's like one of the first to do that.
Yeah, that has a background in finance, a CFA holder.
And legislation.
And is paying attention to legislation and is involved in other side projects and is paying attention to the landscape as a whole. And so for what is going to be created, if you're going to have a real vision for something new, you kind of have to be prepared for some first, but you also have to look at each of the steps along the way and say, how do we get there? Even for myself, having built companies, I know that when I build a company, I'm in phase one. And so my decisions are in phase one mode. And then once I get to a certain milestone, it's like, okay, now I have the resources, the manpower, all of the stuff to enter phase two. Now I can make phase two type choices, and it carries on like that. And I really have a lot of confidence, even though there was the issue with the backroom deals and things like that. I honestly think that they've kind of revisited that, and I'd be curious to see what happens in the future. But overall, from the 50,000 foot view of looking to how are we going to build something that goes out for many, many years and becomes the platform for a Ready Player One style of gameplay blockchain universe, I think that they're positioned better than anyone else that I see out there right now. And that's why I'm so bullish on Star Atlas.
I'll admit that they're my favorite blockchain gaming ecosystem right now. I have a lot of I'm still holding water for coin games. They're not out yet, but I have a lot of belief in what they're going to do, but they haven't done it yet. The only people that are doing things right now, Gala Games, Star Atlas, Axie Infinity, of all of them, and Star Atlas just hit that mark because they just released Score. And so now I'm actually playing to earn, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm making money. So it works out. They're my favorite game. Hopefully they build well into the future. You guys ready to move on to Iluvium, or you got anything else?
Yeah, I think you led us on pretty well to why I think Iluvium is the contender.
Okay.
We have a lot of videos to show this week. I'll start with this one.
Let's go.
Yeah, so this is like an untextured parkour type map.
Nice. Don't touch the red.
Yeah, and it's really cool.
Wow.
You can tell they've played it a lot. They skip some of the steps. Like they know how far they can go.
Yeah, this is a person who's been playing this for sure.
Wow, look at this obstacle course here.
I suck at these things. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Look at he skipped it. Okay.
Yeah, so you have the energy bar at the bottom, and you can refill it if you get a orange orb, or if you stand still or like run, I guess. But if it stops and you're midair, I guess there'll be full damage, you'll die. But this is really cool. Just imagine this like a giant jungle, like textured wall, and you're like climbing up a mountain.
Okay, so what do we think this means? So now this says a couple things. So a lot of people were originally saying Iluvium, they're just trying to be the new Axie. So they're just going to take a Pokemon version style of a card game and make it to where you can play. But then there's the landscape where you go out into the open world and you got to go find your alluvials. So based on these videos here, does this mean that you're having to be tactile and have to really have some joystick control power here to get to a place where you're going to collect maybe some rare alluvials? Maybe the hardest ones are going to be very difficult to get to.
I think they're setting themselves up to have made a much deeper, much more immersive game than any of us thought they were actually creating. I think that it's under promise, over deliver, right? I think they're doing a lot here. This is a lot more than an Axie Infinity competitor. This is what I thought they were doing in the beginning, and they've gone way beyond that. Just watching these videos.
And the ending to this textured version of like the parkour type thing is quite cool. Let's get so just amazing, really.
Yeah, unless I can get a scholar to play this, I'm not messing with it because I suck at these.
Yeah, I'm not the best at these here either, but I like the idea of how much they're incorporating into gameplay. So if we zoom out again, which I like to do, so they've got an open world. There's going to be land. They've got the alluvials themselves, so you have battlefield style play in an arena kind of thing. And then aside from all of these game elements, they have a stellar marketing team. If you pay attention to how fast their Discord has grown over the years, it's one of the largest gaming Discords, and the game's not even out yet. But one of the other things that was really impressive is when they stated about 3 or 4 months ago that the game was going to be delayed and there was not going to be anything playable this year. Nothing at all happened to the value of the Iluvium token. Not only that, it is pumped and pumped and pumped. At some point, it got up to almost $2,000. Now it's back down around 1,100. But their tokenomics and the way they've structured staking is also impressive. And then if you also look at the people that are invested, it's like a who's who of crypto projects out there. So just they're from all the different angles, the quality of development, the way they communicate with their community, the way they show projects and stuff being built, the way they're growing the Discord, all of the different ways they're approaching what the game world and gameplay will be, and then the tokenomics as well. I mean, I'm excited for what this is going to become next year.
Yeah, what I see when I look at this is imagine if they made like some really cool custom world editor where you could make these type of maps and somehow reward the players. That would be really, really awesome.
That said finish line there too. So does that mean that was a speed run of some sort? Maybe there's some.
Yeah, that's what the title of the video was, speed run.
Okay.
And, this one is called the Crimson Wastes. And at the end, you was talking while it was happening, but you kind of get like an orb, and you can scan it. It tells you everything inside of it, and it says hold R to fight, and then they kind of like teleport inside. So that might be how you interact like with an arena, like in an open world type game, like because I was thinking you might just have to find like a massive open space and there's an arena there, and it's like a big boss battle. But if you can just like teleport into like an alternate reality, that would be quite clean, I guess.
Well, what I noticed about the end of this video was that it looked like going through here, you claimed a certain amount of alluvials or something. So there's like a little inventory box that pops up at the end of this at the end of this clip, and it's like you gain different. It was different items you gained, but it looked like you were picking up alluvials when you ran through here.
Yeah. So the description was this showcases the awesome art the environment team has pushed for the Crimson Wastes and the level of transversal.
Here it goes right here.
Movement mechanics.
Okay.
So it's scanning.
What do we think that thing is?
Then it's going to come up with right there. You see,
there you go.
alluvials found. Yeah, so they got 7 alluvials from running through this mission or whatever it was. That's kind of interesting.
It is interesting. The other thing I think it's good that they've done is I like the creative expression for how they created the game world. The plants, the flora and the fauna. The alluvials themselves look top notch, but also the plants and the environment are pretty cool as well. So they put a lot of thought and it doesn't even, I can't even say it looks like it's grabbed from something else. So a lot of it actually seems fairly original to their theme and that they're developing.
It definitely is not a Axie clone like we were told. It's they're doing their own thing, and it's pretty crazy. I personally, being of an investor type of mindset, I don't like buying green. I like buying red, and unfortunately, that perspective has kept me out of this project. A lot of you guys have made a whole lot of money. I've been watching you guys make all your money on this Illuvium project, and I'm sitting here on the sidelines like, well, when it goes red, I'll get in. And it just keeps going up. You guys are making a ton. I'm happy for you.
It's about right now. I mean, it's been higher, but I'd say right now it's probably about 5x.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Fancy?
So this is the other video I wanted to show, and it shows like the weapon appearances from like the different stages or tiers of weapons you can get. So you can get like enchantments on it because you're going to have all these like water type or fire type alluvials, and I guess you can synchronize it if you have like one of these. And they wanted it like the highest ones to really stand out over the top in game. So when you find it, like the enemy players know what it is.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, I want the nature one. I want the green one.
I like that landscape too, like that they're sitting on. It's like, red rock, like a bluff, somewhere in Grand Canyon or something. It's pretty cool.
Nice fighting place.
Yeah, and you can see some of like the more basic ones in the like bottom as well. It's cool, yeah.
And so right now, do we think that there's straight up, is it 3 tiers now that you can scale in Illuvium?
So it's 3 tiers of Illuvium, and each one you need 3 of that tier to go up to the next one.
Okay, so to get to that final one, you've essentially gone 3 to 9 to 27.
You burned 8 of them to make one of the best, pretty much.
Awesome.
Right on. So do we have anything else on Illuvium?
There was also this which I found quite interesting. So it seems to be like an end game screen, and one of the things I found interesting was how it says total waves in the top left corner. Like what I hear when I see that is like zombie survival type games where all these alluviums coming at you, you have to survive like waves of them.
Yes, right. Or like a tower defense.
Those kind of games are fun. People like those, so they're doing a lot.
I'm curious to see what Gala's tower defense game is going to be about. I like tower defense games. I'm a big fan of that style.
Hey, Nomads, Metaverse Nomads, when you guys find out it's a good buy point for me to hop into Illuvium, tag me in our Illuvium chat in our Discord. Let me know.
Okay.
I'm starting to feel froggy, So
well, here's an interesting thing. So it's I think the all-time high has been at least 18, maybe almost 1900, and it's around 11 right now. So we know that this is a lull. So it's down a good 700-800 from its all-time high, and we know it's a project that's got legs. So
they're implementing staking V2 soon as well, which is going to cost less fees. Like when you're staking, sometimes it's not worth it if you don't have a lot of it. But you're either just waiting for low fees or you're a whale when you don't care.
And not financial advice, but historically, crypto, if you've been in here in the space a long time, several years, you will know that today is a good day to get your bags together. This is historically a good time of year. Right after Christmas, before New Year's is a good time to fill your bags of whatever things that you're interested in, and whatever you think is going to be a good buy for the rest of the next year in 2022. Usually, end of December, right at the end of the holiday, is a good time to buy. So know that going forward, there, nomads, and may the force be with you.
Indeed.
All right. So moving on, we had a airdrop to everybody who has been using OpenSea lately. We've been sharing this in our Discord. It was called the OpenDao, and you basically got airdropped a bunch of tokens based off of whatever you've done on OpenSea over the I think they did a snapshot recently in the last like month or so. So if you've done a certain amount of movement on OpenSea, you could do this. We have links in our Discord if you guys want to pop in there and do it. It's at first I was kind of skeptical. I'm always skeptical of anything I got to sign in with my MetaMask wallet, and this in particular made me skeptical because obviously you got to use the MetaMask wallet that you used a lot on OpenSea, right? So that's a little scary.
And especially,
but I've done it, and I haven't had any of my NFTs walk away or anything like that. And, so
especially like you should always have your eyebrow like when everyone's like free money. What you mean free money?
Exactly.
So I mean, I'm skeptical all day long as well on airdrops as they come out. And so again, this is not financial advice at all. You need to be an adult. You need to have your big boy and girl pants on and figure this stuff out. But what I will say is one of the things I do try and pay attention to is whenever you do sign, look at what the contract is saying that you're signing for. It can look at things. It can later ask you for a transaction, but it is not trying to do that now. So don't just be clicking away like we do all day, every day with, Apple terms and conditions and Google terms and conditions, all that stuff. When it comes to your crypto wallet and you're signing contracts, pay attention to those contracts. But in this particular case, it was favorable for me as well, to the tune of a couple grand. So I was happy with it.
I'll tell you what, my grandfather, rest in peace, he told me a long time ago. He said, you can't con an honest man, right? And that goes with honesty. It also goes with like being greedy, right? So anytime you feel like you don't have enough time and you got to rush in and you got to get in there right now and drop your money right now, that's probably not a good investment. Okay. Take your time. So like I was told by several people I trust that this was a safe thing, and I still took my time, and I went on Twitter and I saw what people were saying on Twitter about the project. And I looked around and I checked the link and I made sure that everybody was sharing the same link, and I did a whole lot because as soon as I hit the link,
to the domain, you're right. Like, don't go to .art, which is a big common one.
I'm gonna tell you, you can get caught up easy out here. I went to a website yesterday that I knew was supposed to be good, right? And I went on Google, which I don't normally do. Usually I go on Twitter and I find their link and I use their link. And this time I typed it into Google and I popped up a website and I go to sync my MetaMask wallet and it asked me for my private keys. And I was like, huh? And I was like, wait a minute. And I was actually kind of drinking at the time. I was like, whoa, hold on. Maybe I should be doing this. Maybe I should wait till I'm sober. So what's going on? and so, sure enough, looking at the address, like you just said, the address wasn't right, and I went and I fixed it, and everything worked as it normally would, and so you got to pay attention to these things, especially as you build up your metaverse wallet status to the point where you become what's the word for like a honeypot, And another thing to do is always, obviously, you want to spread your stuff out to different wallets so you're not as big of a honeypot in one wallet. Like I have different ecosystem wallets. My Gala wallet is not the same as my Star Atlas wallet. It's not the same as my major OpenSea wallet. It's not the same as the wallet I share on Twitter. These are all different wallets.
A good example of that is that, let's say for Solana projects, so you might have a Phantom wallet. If you're getting ready for a mint, you might want to create a wallet specifically for that mint. Only put in there what you need for that mint. There,
Right.
and also be careful of auto accepting contracts where you're like, hey, I want to get on that mint, so I want it to be quick, so I want it to be able to just auto approve stuff. Well, there are some scripts out there that do some shady stuff where they create a transaction, but then send a message to the wallet like there was an error in the transaction, and then create another transaction, and it will just keep that cycle going until it bleeds your entire wallet. So don't, I would say stay away from the auto approve best you can, unless you have absolute trust for a project. And even then, it's a sketchy thing to do. But then also using a wallet that's specific for a mint. You can always move your stuff around later, especially on Solana. The fees are so minimal. It's a lot harder to do on ETH for sure, because those gas fees are something else. But
ETH will beat you up. It's even with the even with the prices being down right now. I mean, it's funny because I'm lapping in luxury right now because ETH fees are usually around $30, and that's so nice compared to what they were in the recent past, where you were paying over $100 to do everything. Shout out to Punjab from the chat. Great advice. You guys should give some kind of safe practice for crypto on each episode. Hey, you know what? Appreciate that. Punjab has actually been with us a long time. He's actually I think he's there every week with us. Shout out to you, bro. Appreciate you. We're thankful for you being here. And also do us a favor and ask these questions, because we interact with the chat. We usually we come up with our show notes and we have the things we want to talk about for each week. And I was listening to a podcast a few months ago that really touched me, because this guy, he said something that was really impactful. He was like, a lot of us who've been in crypto a long time have this 10,000 hour view, and we don't understand what it's like for the normal people. And that's key, because I've consumed over 10,000 hours worth of crypto content. Jesse's consumed over 10,000 hours worth of crypto content. Fancy, all of us consoles, we all are deep in here. And so we're so deep that a lot of times we don't understand the barriers that a lot of people are facing. Like I said, I told a bunch of my friends that I know are in crypto, who I know are sneakerheads, hey, these Genesis Steph Curry flows just came out. You might want to grab them. And they're like, okay, I'm going to download MetaMask. I said, what?
Yeah.
It blew my mind that they didn't have MetaMask. So we miss a lot of things that are commonplace. Like we talk to each other in shorthand because we know each other's knowledge level. We're like, oh, just do this, and this, and we don't have to say a whole lot. And then I talk to a family member and I have to break it down to baby steps because they don't even have basic crypto knowledge.
I just did that. Yeah. I just went home. I've been traveling the past month, friends and family, all across the States, and similar conversations. And then the same thing come up again and again. And it just really helped me realize just how far removed the average person is from understanding this. And with all of the pitfalls and the landmines and the traps that are out there, man, that are snaring even people that are a little savvy. It's really reminded me why. I mean, coming from a background of creating educational content, that I plan on creating some content for those people, for my friends and family, for the people that are like, hey, how do we do this, and how do we avoid the things we shouldn't be doing? But you're spot on. Yeah.
One of my coworkers, when I got him in the Tom Bilyeu project, he did the Google search thing instead of using the link thing, and he's like, wait a minute. This is asking me for my private key, and I'm on the phone with him while he's doing it. And I said, wait, I'm screaming on the phone. I'm like, no, don't do it. Like, do not. He's like, no, I shouldn't. He's like, yeah, you did that perfect. and he's like, yeah, I don't ever give up my private key, right? I was like, no, you never give up your private key. And these are the things that a lot of people just don't have. If you join the Realm Discord, we have like Crypto 101, we have Metaverse 101 channels where we just share a bunch of different videos that you could watch where you could start to build out your own 10,000 hour view. But as always, I'm always real big on picking up these comments from the chat for a reason, Punjab. And the reason is because you guys are the ones that are going to help us to remember what we need to tell you and what we need to teach you and what we need to help you with. And so the comments is always a big part of this channel. It always will be.
Always will be.
Even if it gets real big and gets real trolly, I'm still going to spend a lot of my time digging through these comments, trying to help out people who need help and answer questions that need to be answered. So thank you for that, Punjab. Anything else? We have Metaverse Y. What kind of any new I know you were traveling a lot, Jesse. Do you have any new projects that you were looking at this week or anything going on?
Just it's kind of a passion project, but also like how the community is developing. One that a bunch of us have been involved in for quite some time. I think they're about to make some pretty interesting moves, and that's Bone World. But as you saw from my the last couple of weeks, I've been rocking this Elephant House avatar.
Yes.
This is just one that I really like.
That's
I like
sick.
the community. I like the
sick.
art. And so, we've talked about this a little bit too, about how just NFT projects that are starting off initially as PFPs, but then you see the community and the people developing behind it into something that you want to be a part of. And so that's just one for me that I'm really enjoying being a part of that community, that project. But that's really it. Other than just paying attention to all the landscape as a whole, I'm really starting to look at what I think the metaverse as a whole is going to be developing into. So not project specific, but really that 50,000 foot view where I think we're all headed and who's showing up and who's doing something interesting that's going to matter for a long time.
What about you, Fancy? You got any new projects you're looking at or anything going on in the past week you want to mention?
Just zoning in on Star Atlas, really. We got something to dig our teeth into now. Enjoying the experience.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of caught between you and Jesse on that, right? Like on the one hand, it's like Star Atlas is paying me well, and I want to like ape in so much harder to Star Atlas. At the same time, I'm still like looking at these other projects out in the world, trying to make sure that I'm positioned properly on those. I got super distracted by the Steph Curry's, the flows that came out this week. That basically stopped everything. Raoul Paul came out with his NFT project this week or 2 weeks ago, maybe even. I think I'm late. So, but the last day was on the 23rd. Great project, great idea, but I'm not into the yearly subscription thing, and that's kind of what he's doing with that. And I was really excited to be a part of his first NFT project, and the yearly subscription thing turned me off. So I didn't jump into that. I'm gonna wait, see what happens, see if any of my friends get into it, and see what they think. Or if they don't get into it, then we'll wait. We'll see what happens year two. I don't know. I'm just not a subscription kind of guy. That's I want to buy something and hold it. I want to buy something and have to keep paying for it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So anything else for last thoughts before we move on? All right. So
just other than just, I mean, I don't know if we're there yet or what else we have to show, but I just wanted to say an awesome shout out and thank you to all of the people that we see the names, you guys that join us here. I mean, here it is the day after Christmas, and there's a bunch of you guys here with us live. And we appreciate you, and we look forward to your comments and the things you share. I mean, we'll share something and you'll like correct us and say, hey, but it's this. And we love that. We appreciate that because this is about all of us learning and growing together. 2022 is going to be an epically huge year for all of us. We're all in the right place, right time. Love you guys. Appreciate you being here with us. I just wanted to shout that out.
You know what, Jesse? I'm glad you said that because you're right. So this is our first year. We were the Miranda's Gentry, and then we became the Metaverse Nomads because we saw what the Metaverse was actually going to look like, and we saw the need for us to be more flexible and be able to move around. A lot of you guys came with us on that journey, and the channel's just been growing, and it's all due to you guys, and we appreciate everybody. 2021 was the first year of the metaverse, and 2022 is going to be a major year of building, and we just hit over 1,000 subscribers recently. We're seeing a lot of people joining these live streams on a regular basis, and
our Discord just passed 2,000. So a lot of good growth.
Like a lot of dreams that we had, a lot of goals that we had. We've touched those milestones this year. and that's all about the community. It's not about us. And so, yeah, I'm ecstatic. I'm excited for the new year. And yeah, I can't wait to see what 2022 is going to do to us. So before you guys are going to be huge in 2022. Well done to you all. Hey man, thank you for being here with us. You're going to be huge with us. Come join Rome. Rome.io. Okay, Rome.io. Come join the squad and be down. All right, so I'm gonna close this out with this Joe Rogan video. I don't know, we might get demonetized or whatever for sharing Joe Rogan content. They might kick us off of YouTube. Who knows what's gonna happen?
No, it's worth it.
You know what? This video is funny. I shared it with my family. I shared it with the Nomads, and the funniest part is at the end where he says you could start in another metaverse. He said, I might not be able to afford being in this metaverse, but I'm gonna start in another metaverse and work hard.
I'm gonna work hard.
and the thing about why it's so funny is because it's so true, right?
Yeah, right?
I just mentioned it earlier today. It's like, okay, I'm not a cybercon.
Right.
I'm not a Bored Ape, but I'm gonna work hard in Star Atlas.
But
one day, one day I'm gonna be a cybercon, bro. Like it's gonna happen for me. You know, I'll be there with the big guys. So, yeah, shout out to all of you guys who are just coming into the metaverse who feel like everybody's way ahead of you or that you don't have a chance or anything like that. That's not true. You go into one metaverse, you're making $5 a day, you're making $1 a day playing Axie Infinity, whatever it is, and you keep working hard, and one day you'll be at these upper levels where you're employing other people across the metaverse, or you're, you know, making these big moves and these big investments. You're going to get there. We're all going to make it. Okay. Yeah. Wag me. And good morning. All right. So thanks everybody. We'll play the video. We're going to close out here. This is Joe Rogan, and this is really funny. Watch this.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Yeah, we need a scam. The country is run on a succession of scams.
But how is this going to protect us from China?
Ooh, well, I don't know.
Isn't that the real issue?
Well, it's going to.
They're buying up everything.
It'll pump up the economy. Do you own any digital real estate?
What?
Do you own any digital real estate?
I'm going to ask you again. What?
I mean, I know
What do
you
you
have
mean by
like a house and
digital
everything.
real estate? What does that mean?
You don't. It's real estate in the metaverse. Like you own it. It's real estate. I don't understand. You're such a boomer. You need to own digital real estate, Joe.
Oh my God! Snoop Dogg paid
$450,000
to be Snoop Dogg's metaverse. Oh, someone paid $450,000 to be Snoop Dogg's metaverse neighbor. Wow, he's now a resident of the Sandbox metaverse.
In 20 years, you're not going to be able to go outside because of the climate. So you're going to spend most of your time in a pod, and you're going to live online. Your NFTs are going to be your precious art, and you're going to live in the metaverse in digital real estate.
So is Snoop making all that money? Like if it's $458,000 to be his neighbor, is that his money now?
No, it's just like when a celebrity moves into a building, people want to live in it.
Okay, good question now. So who gets that money? Where's that money?
The person who owned the land.
That's nonsense.
What do you mean?
It's nonsense.
How is it nonsense?
They don't get all of it, though.
But there's
what do
no
you mean
land.
there's no land? There's
Where's the land?
digital
So
land.
this little video is what it is. This is
Look
the
at this.
sandbox. This is Snoop's land in the sandbox.
But go back to that. What? What is this?
This is the sandbox.
Hold on.
So I'll pause it real quick.
No. Keep it going. I want to see how this plays out. Wave 1. Launching December 2nd. Starting time.
NFT. Never forget to pass it. Quickest.
He gets it.
All right, so there you go, before it goes too far. So each of those little blocks are for sale.
What?
And essentially, see, it says like on sale. Like that's a bigger block. That's like 9 blocks together.
You
It's
could
like an
start
acre.
on the metaverse. You could start a Rogan land where nobody has to take a vaccine.
But this isn't even
Think
real
about
life.
that.
I'm so
This
confused.
All right,
is
so-
real life. It's
so
what real life's becoming.
What's happening in that, Joe? Just like for something you might understand, which sort of showed right there, that very beginning part. What can happen in the sandbox is like Roblox. So you can develop a game in your space and people can come play it, and then they can give you money to play it or hang out or watch the concert you're hosting.
What if you could start your own country essentially in the metaverse. You buy up all this digital real estate. And then what if Gavin Newsom ran for governor of it, won, and destroyed it? He'd be fucking you twice in the real world and in the metaverse. No, but you got to get involved in this, man. I'm telling you. This is the future.
Like, yeah, Atari is invested in here. This is Snoop's little plot down here, but all these green areas are owned by other people.
Plot. Do you have a plot?
This is where? What is this?
This would be the Sandbox Metaverse.
So there's metaverses? There'll be the Facebook Metaverse?
Oh, dude, for sure there's a ton of metaverses. You can't afford to be in certain metaverses. Certain metaverses you can.
Which one could I not afford to be in?
Not you specifically, but I'm talking about regular people like myself. I don't know that I can afford this metaverse. But I'm going to start in another metaverse and work hard.
If you got,
I'm going to work hard.
Listen, the country's over. Have a little fun.
That's awesome.
All right, guys.
Peace.
Close us out, Jess.
All right. And hey, we're going to see you again on the, I think it's the 2nd. Is it the 2nd? So next week is the 2nd?
The 2nd, yeah.
We'll be here. We don't know how long we're going to be here. We don't know who all is going to show up, but we appreciate you guys. And we're going to keep on this journey. And we're looking forward to you being on this journey with us. Until the next time, Metaverse Nomads out. Peace.